tutorial with me, Emily Rose. This week we're going to be doing a poppy. You can vote for the different flowers that you'd like me to do a tutorial of on the Facebook group, and that's how this one has come about. This was the most popular choice. Today we're going to do a purple poppy. Obviously poppies come in all different colours and lots of different species as well. So one that I really enjoy drawing is actually the orange Welsh poppy, which is really beautiful. It's quite simple too. So if you enjoy this tutorial but you've only got orange or yellow pencils because you did the buttercup tutorial last time, you might enjoy trying the Welsh poppy. For this tutorial, because I'm using quite a few pencils that I don't usually use, I've just done some little swatches so that as I go along I can pick a pencil with greater ease and not make so many mistakes. I'm using Clairefontaine pastel matte paper. The paper is more like a card really, but the step up from that is the board, which is a really hard piece of board, and I prefer doing my more substantial drawings on those, but for the purposes of the tutorials the paper is really great to learn on. We're using a variety of pencils, so I'm not entirely sure which colours I'm using yet. We'll work it out as we go along, but they'll all be Faber-Castell, so they'll be easy to get hold of. Okay, so to begin, I just need to sketch out my poppy. So I'm sketching this freehand, but if you'd prefer to have a little bit more structure, you're not completely confident in your drawing, you can find a link below to a blog post I did about drawing. So there's plenty of different ways you can draw and then transfer your image onto your pastel matte paper so that you're ready to begin and no mistakes. So whenever I'm drawing, what I'm actually looking for mostly, I'm looking for angles as opposed to making beautiful curves at this stage. You're far more accurate this way. This is something that has come from a classical method called the Barg method. Barg made lots of different plates of the anatomy, of the human anatomy, and classically artists learnt to draw using these plates. You can find pictures of the plates on the internet if you type in Barg drawing plates, but again it's on that blog that I just told you about. I've sketched it out. The pencil I used for that was the 160 Faber-Castell. The reason I chose this one is because it's not too dark, but I can see it. But also, obviously, the poppy we're drawing is purple, so these lines shouldn't be difficult to get rid of as we keep working. So something that can help you if you've put your transfer lines down and you think they're a little bit too strong is a putty rubber. Mine again is from Faber-Castell. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I do find that this brand of rubber has lasted a very long time and they're not very expensive, so I can definitely recommend them. All I'm doing here is pressing it down and lifting it straight back up again. So I'm literally taking off those bits of pastel that are resting on the paper, but I'm not scrubbing it. I'm not trying to rid the outline entirely. So I'm left with something that's quite nice and faint, but I can still see what I'm doing. So to begin with, I'm going to map out where my darker tones are. For this, I'm going to use one of the greys, the 175, which is the warm dark grey. So I'm going to begin quite lightly so that I can make sure I'm putting this dark pencil in the correct place. So once I'm happy with where I'm going to put this to start with, I'm just going to shade it in as evenly as possible. but I'm also thinking about the direction lines which are all over the petal. And they're just sweeping upwards, which gives it a nice movement. So you can see I'm leaving the edges soft. This is going to help us when we want to put in subsequent layers of colour. First stage, so that was the 175, which is a warm dark grey. So all I've done is I've looked at my reference photo and I've looked for where those darkest areas are. Now on this poppy, on this type of poppy, there are these really dark, almost black parts of the petal right near the base. So they are these areas that I've put in. However, I'm also looking at where the light is hitting, which is why you've got this sort of patchy effect that will start to make more sense when we put the next layer of colour on. So for the next layer, what we're going to do is we're actually going to cover everything in the 160, everything that's left. So before we do this, you might find it useful to look at your reference photo and pick out a couple of the edges with a lighter grey, just so that while you're filling the whole flower in, you're not going to lose those crucial parts of your outline. So once you've put in as much light grey as you'd like, then I'm taking the 160, and again, I'm being fairly light because we're going to put quite a few more layers on top, and I'm looking at the direction that the flower is moving in. This is where I mean that they're almost like silk in the way that it's ruffled up. Okay, so that's this stage done. So all we've really done here is we've marked out the key areas. So we've put in the darks with the 175 down here, and then over the rest of the poppy, we've filled the whole thing in with the 160. So we've got this really basic structure now. We've got a dark and we've got a mid-tone, and really the board around it in comparison is a light, so it's nicely outlined by that at the moment. So you can just about see I've got some directional lines on here. In places where there are shadows, I have pressed a little bit harder just so I can get a bit more of a feeling for that. But other than that, it's quite a basic shade all over the petals.